Spec-5 World Tour is one of the most competitive and longest running Mazda MX-5 leagues on iRacing, and this season is a tight tussle for the championship across both divisions, Pro and Open. We head to Mobility Resort Motegi, previously known as Twin Ring Motegi, and still known as that if you dive into the iRacing files. It's round 4. We can't wait to get it underway, qualifying and then a 45-minute race. And to keep you up to date live here for Spec-5 World Tour on HJBC, it's David Haynes with Reese Gardner and Michael Derby. Long history with this track, Reese.
Yes, indeed. The last season's race at the East layout was certainly one of the most entertaining of the previous season. We are running the full Grand Prix layout, though, for this particular season, which should introduce a few more overtaking opportunities and provide a little bit more challenge to the drivers, particularly in the final few corners. It's certainly going to open things up for some attacks. I'm looking forward to it.
Live timing is available if you look in the YouTube description or in the chat, and you can keep up to date with your favorite driver or your teammate or whoever it may be. As we get into qualifying, it's 15 minutes. It's 4 flying laps. This is our championship leader, Michael Folds. And on a cool day like this, how do we think they are going to approach their qualifying run plan on the full Grand Prix layout of Motegi?
That is the question. Looking at the practice results, a lap here takes about 2 minutes and 12 seconds if you're up the front of the field. So with 15 minutes to complete those 4 laps, it should be doable, but it does take a little bit of time to warm up the tires. As you can see, Michael Folds still trying to warm up his tires here around this outlap. Motegi, a circuit with quite a few long straights, so plenty of opportunity for those tires to cool off going in a straight line. That
type of folds is called a ruffle.
It is indeed. Looks like air temperature 20 degrees Celsius and only 21 Celsius on the track. So I think we are going to be seeing everyone go for a full 4-lap run here. It's going to be tough to get some temperature into those tires, but it's time for a lap.
It is. We're on board the 15 of Michael Folds. Turn 1 and 2 is interesting here. He gets right into the apex of 1 and then around to the apex of 2. Sometimes drivers will get a bit of 1 and not much of the other, or even a little wide through turn 1, come back to the apex of turn 2. 3 and 4 has a similar feel to it, almost like a double apex corner, but 3 is tighter than 4, which opens up just a little bit and looks relatively flat out. Heading towards turn 5, it's deceptive. It's not quite a 90 degrees right-hander. Not a perfect right angle, but it's also not quite a hairpin. It's somewhere in between, a little bit sharper, deceptively so, than you're underneath the banking. Flat out in towards some S's.
And these S's are the most technical part of this circuit, but the most high commitment as well. You need to really make sure that you don't push too hard there at the second apex, otherwise you'll understeer off, scrub the tires, etc. And you won't be able to bring it back around for this hairpin here, which brings you onto the run towards the alternate pit lane for this track, which is used on the East layout. Of course, we are not using that layout today, but this particular territory of the track is very familiar to those in Spec-5 World Tour. You see the way that Folds is working the steering wheel there. He's almost tipping the car in sideways on the way into these corners. It's very interesting to watch.
Bit of haze coming out of the forest here. This is one of the biggest braking zones of the lap. Downhill, car always wants to run on long. There's a little bit less grip than you expect at the apex because of the camber of the road. Back to the inside of the bowl of the speedway. So much space on the way into this final chicane. Tightens up in between the 2 apexes. Pit entry is to the right there. And we're going to see some of our first lap times come through. Michael Folds probably will be one of the very, very first. But Open class leader Jerry DiPiero's lap time won't count. He's spun out of the final corner.
That's not good for Jerry DiPiero. Won the Open class a couple of rounds ago, and that's one of the dangers of that final chicane there. It's a big change of direction on the way in, and you're slowing down at the same time too, so very easy to unsettle the car. Fortunately, Jerry still has a few laps left in the bank to try and set his time for the grid, but you're right, Michael Folds was literally the first driver to set a time, and that time has stood 2:12.0, which is right on the money for some of the quicker times that we've seen in practice. I think with a bit of slipstream and with warmed up tyres, they were able to set 2:11.6s. So let's see how close they can get to that. Paul Murgatroyd, meanwhile, running at the overall top 10 for just a moment before Donnie Moffat jumps into third place on his first lap, and Geordie Fike goes to 10th fastest now. So we're seeing plenty of times come in from some of our top drivers. There's a few of them, though, that have decided to wait a little bit before getting out on track. Lee Martin's doing quite well in 9th place at the moment, and currently has the open class pole position. We're still waiting on times from Eugenio Pellicci, Logan Fry, Gareth Brocklesby, and Jerry DiPiero. But it looks like we've had Jared Culnins come into 4th place. Pellicci's first lap takes him immediately to the top 2, and there's barely anything between him and Folds.
Yeah, that's mighty close at the moment. Also haven't had Rick Quishon or Charles Vaccaro come out onto track yet at all. Well, we've got Fry, Brocklesby and DiPiero on flying laps, but none of them have counted just yet. Michael Folds completes another lap, goes about 3/10 quicker, and looks to have backed off from there.
It looks like he'll be going for a second run in the second half of the session. Maybe the tyres ended up overheating a little bit, or they're past their best at the very least. Interesting considering how cool the track temperature is. Well, Pellicci trying to commit to a second lap here, drifting the car a little bit on the way into the S's section. You do need good rotation there. We have a new open class provisional pole sitter. Jason Stalker has just put his car into 8th overall, which will shortly become 9th, as it looks like Kirill Bonda has jumped into P7 on his most recent lap.
So he has, and he also moving around a little bit, different to how I would have expected, but still staying committed to the lap based on what I see, going through 3 and 4. Michael Oswald tracking for an improvement. Geordie Fike crossing the line. Jerry DiPiero, his second lap also hasn't counted.
This is not ideal for Jerry. Mike Oswald improves to P7, but yeah, Jerry DiPiero looking for something better from this session, and he seems to have the front end of the car sorted at the very least. Let's hope that he can get a time he's happy with towards the end of this session. Looking at the practice results, it seems that DiPiero set a 2:14.1. So either he's not gotten time to really sort himself out around here, or he's just been having trouble with the car, having trouble with his hardware or something like that, because that is way off the pace that the drivers up the front of the open class are setting. He's going to have to find about 2 seconds.
Goes super wide on his way into the final corner. Almost everything looks to be in order so far on this lap. And indeed it does count, but it is not especially competitive at a 2:14 flat.
Well, he still has another lap to set here, so let's hope that he can find some improvements on there and get a bit closer to the other open class drivers. Jason Stalker and Lee Martin still have 1 lap left to do, and they are 1 and 2 in pro class and in open class at the moment, just outside the overall top 10. So there might be some changes for open class pole. Thus far, looks like Michael Folds has managed to hold on to the overall pole, and on his second run here, I don't know if he'll even see the need to improve. He is currently 3/10 ahead of Eugenio Polici, who's about to finish his third lap.
Folds seems somewhat vindicated based on how little pace Eugenio Polici seems to have on his third lap, but maybe that's just a deliberate cool from Polici, as Michael Folds has gone to a new set of tyres, and so this becomes a warm-up lap heading into one final committed flying lap. So Sean Hayes is done with qualifying. Michael Chase will be the next driver, and Rui Coimbra, who are done with their qualifying, but it's Michael Folds to set up one final flying lap of qualifying.
All right, so across the line for Michael Folds to begin another lap here. Michael Chase has jumped into pit lane. Looks like he's done. Sean Hayes, after 3 laps complete, is done in pit lane, and it seems Paul Murgatroyd is the same. So now we're seeing if any improvements can be made in the last few minutes of qualifying. Mike Oswald trying to get a little bit closer to the top 6 in pro. All he needs to do is find 0.2 of a second, and he'll at least get past Michael Coates. But all of that being considered, Coates still has another lap to finish. He's about halfway around it right now.
Sonny Moffat's qualifying is done, and his final lap didn't improve on a 2:12.2. 5th is the best that he may start. Gee, Michael Coates has got a couple of good sectors going on.
See if he can... Yeah.
We will see very shortly, won't we? Good change of direction there. That's so key, obviously. Tiny little tickle of the grass out of the final corner. Where can this go? Not especially competitive in the first sector. Found some through the middle of the lap, so it goes to 4th place.
Good lap. And that's going to be his last opportunity done there. 2:12.1.
Eugenio Polici will not improve. I think he has had a similar problem at the final corner.
Yeah, seems so. It's very easy to push a bit too hard into that final chicane. Gareth Brocklesby coming up to the end of his final lap. It looks like just about everybody is done now. I don't see any improvements for Logan Fry or Otis Adams Jr. and Brocklesby going for pit lane there, demonstrating the very difficult pit entry at this circuit. You have to negotiate a chicane on the way in, and drivers will have to be aware of that. There is a pit stop on
and you get a
for
penalty
tonight's race
if you're all 4 tyres in the grass and there's chicane on the entry.
Yes, indeed. That's a big improvement from Adams, from 14th up to 7th. And he should be very happy with that one. See if he can maintain that.
Yeah, I think that ought to be the last lap time that we see, because I don't think Coates has got quite enough time to get around to complete that lap.
No, he's already done 4 laps anyway.
Yeah. No, I think that Adams lap just then was the last that we're going to see, and they're not even going to get around to attack the pit entry.
Well, I think that all of the drivers well, I would hope that all of them have practiced pit entry before this event. It's one of those tracks where you really need to fix it up. It looks like he's going to just get there in time and manage to get into the pits cleanly before the session ticks over. And oh dear, where did everybody go? It's time for the race.
It's time to check the grid. So Michael Folds is the king of qualifying at Motegi. More than 3/10 clear of Eugenio Pellicci. Michael Chase in third and Michael Coates in fourth. It was super close there between second, third and fourth position. And Jared Collins and Donnie Moffat also not too far behind. So we Folds and we could be in for a good race. Let's see how it plays out coming to race pace though. Got to see Adams Jr. in 7th, Mike Oswald in 8th, Kirill Bondar in 9th, and Logan Fry in 10th. All pro class drivers inside the top 10 and the top 11 as well with Sean Hayes. Jason Stalker has the open class pole in 12th, Geordie Fike in 13th, Lee Martin 14th, Rui Coimbra 15th, Paul Murgatroyd 16th, and Brian Javelski, Jerry DiPiero, Gareth Brocklesby, and I think Tom Athon was the last driver to set a qualifying time. Rick Wishon and Charles Vaccaro could still start, but we did not see them whatsoever in qualifying.
And we haven't seen Camden Hibbert at all in the server, despite him being present. So we shall see if anyone else joins the 20 cars that have set times for qualifying. Get ready for the what appears to be rolling start, and we'll find our way to the start-finish line in just a few moments' time. Looks like pretty much everybody's on there apart from our pole sitter.
Do you have a fun Motegi fact for us, Reese Gardner?
I do not. I think we should get the points done before we get that green flag.
Okay, let's look at points in the pro division. Michael Folds leads Lincoln Fox, who is not present tonight. This could be a big home run for Michael Folds, and in Japan they call baseball yakyu. Eugenio Pellicci third, Michael Coates, Odyssey Adams Jr., Carl Genski, Rui Coimbra, Donnie Moffat, Sean Hayes, and Mitchell Peake is our top 10 in pro. In open, it's Jerry DiPiero that leads the way. He's been very consistent at coming through the field. Travis Hewitt, Todd Martin, Lee Martin, Paul Murgatroyd, Mark Kruger, Rick Wishon, Peter Rasorkis, Jason Stalker, and Jordan Flowers. There, we will get the extended full pace lap by the looks of things.
Ah, good. Well, Mr. Clean, meanwhile, Lee Martin, the only driver in the Mr. Clean standings, still on 0 incidents after 3 rounds of racing. So it's looking like a bit more of a gap is starting to form amongst most of the drivers in the top 10 of that one. But let's see if Martin will be able to continue that run of 0 incidents. Motegi, very easy to get an off-track around here. No tarmac runoffs to speak of. It's just grass and gravel lining the racetrack.
You can see our safety car there in the pit lane, which has yet to make an appearance this season in Spec-5 World Tour. But it's there. It's ready. It's turbocharged inline 6 motor humming along.
Hopefully not overheating in the pit lane. So a little bit of a slow motion tour around Twin Ring Motegi. The only, I mean, I do have facts about Twin Ring Motegi. I have one fact, but it's not a very fun one. And it's that the oval is no longer in use in the real world and cannot be because it sustained pretty heavy structural damage during the 2011 Tohoku earthquake, which caused the big tsunamis in Japan and the nuclear disaster at Fukushima. So yeah, sorry to bring the mood down, but yeah, Motegi only down to the road course now, originally built as a test track by Honda in the mid-1990s, and it's followed that sort of club-style venue approach for the majority of its existence. Originally a ground for drivers to take their Honda motorcycles and cars out for a bit of a fang, and it's evolved into one of Japan's top professional racing venues.
In the paddock, the cafe is Gran Turismo themed.
Right in line with recent Gran Turismo games becoming cafe themed.
Yeah. Cheese curry with pork cutlet, 1,200 yen. Not bad. I'll take that. Make it a meal, add a soft drink for 250 yen. Okay. I know the exchange rate. That's 12 Australian dollars, probably about 8 US dollars. Get yourself a deal in the paddock. That katsu looks absolutely delicious. Michael Folds is on the pole position. Eugenio Pollicci hung back like this as well last race start, if you recall. He's leaving a lot of space at the moment to Folds.
He's probably content to just run his own line around the formation lap. You don't have to stay fully in line with the car beside you the whole way around. You just need to make sure that you're up alongside him into the final corners and you're good. So I gotta wonder, does Pollicci have a plan for this race start here? He's separated from his teammate Donnie Moffat by a single row and 3 positions. What opportunity will there be for the teammates to work together from this one? So into the final couple of corners then. Michael Folds will be the one controlling the start from here. Last little bit of a weave to get some heat into these tyres. And David, it will be time for the green flag. The iRacing AI pace car driver certainly knows how to enter pit lane around here. How many of these drivers will be able to do the same? In fact, it looks like the safety car is going to pull off right here. So a bit of a late start. Let's see if they get formed up in time. Hang on, they're going for another lap?
It sure looks like they are.
Okay. So we're going to be waiting a little longer.
So just about there at the pit exit, underneath the big building is where the cafe is. I've been looking at the menu of the Paddock Cafe, Gran Turismo Cafe. And apparently we're gonna bring that to you. So I think $1 US is about 150 Japanese yen at the moment. So we'll keep that in mind.
There we go.
So the kids menu for 850 yen, the kids curry looks like it's got rice, curry, something with kids drink served in what looks to be a Volkswagen Beetle. Certainly the curry would be air cooled.
Certainly would be. Not much cooling going on for the kids' ramen next to it, though. I mean, hey, 650 yen. I mean, that's something that's always struck me about Japan. The prices for food are always very competitive compared to cooking at home. It's not like it is in these Western countries where you end up paying a restaurant-sized fee for a Macca's meal. You go to Japan, you can easily get some good value food for cheap.
Yes, you can. The side of fried chicken is $3. So,
Nice.
yum. I'm actually going to get Lee Martin, one of our drivers, on the line as we go here. Lee, how clean are you feeling with all this pacing? He might not have push to talk bound.
Oh, we are definitely building suspense. That is what I assume the ulterior motive is. Either that or goofing up my fuel calculations.
So what's your focus for this race between big points in open class and maintaining your lead as Mr. Clean?
It's racing. You got to go for the win.
Delightful. Wishing you the best of luck, Lee. Thank you for allowing us to intrude.
Thanks for the commentary, guys.
Okay, just phoning up Mr. Clean Lee Martin. He did seem a tiny bit tense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him being that deep in the field. There's a lot of potential for something to go wrong in that general area. If an incident happens in front of you, then you won't have much time to react, and you got drivers at the back of the field wanting to make up places as a result. So, yeah, Lee'll have to drive very smartly here if he wants to maintain his 100% no incident record in this season of Spec-5 World Tour. And so I believe now we can start getting ready for the start of this race, David. 45 minutes ahead of us and a pit stop as well. I think the drivers will have burnt off a bit more fuel on this extra formation lap. So they're going to have to change their pit calculations as a result, but we'll have to wait for a bit until that happens.
Imagine starting from pit lane and saving yourself 3 pacing laps worth of fuel burn. Something to think about. But there goes the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup safety car out of the way. The green flag will be ready, and the 45 minutes begins once the green flag waves. The clock has been on pause throughout the formation laps. Michael Folds on pole position. Right-hand lane gives him the inside for turn 1. Eugenio Pollicci on the next row. Sean Hayes will be the first to pull out of line as we head down towards turn 1. Michael Folds comes back across to the racing line, sweeping the wide arc into 1. As Michael Chase gets down the inside of Pollicci, who doesn't find much grip around the outside of 2.
But he does find a bit of momentum on the exit, and he's going to draw alongside Michael Chase again, coming into turn 3. 2x2x2 in many places. Slight contact for Jared Kalnins, and he's going to get spun around. That's from contact with Donnie Moffat. So we got one car into the gravel trap already, but fortunately doesn't seem to be too much in the way of damage. Very instant replay here. Look for Moffat just making that little bit of contact there in the braking zone. Jared will be not too happy with how that one's turned out for him, but at the very least he's still rolling, and the car has very little, if any, damage on it. Bit of a breakaway starting to form for the top 5 as the train starts to form.
Yeah, Adams there with Fry and Oswald directly behind. Jason Stork has made a couple of moves, so the open class leader is 3 spots up and into 9th inside of the top 10, putting a little bit of space between himself and Lee Martin. Might have to, slap himself awake after the pace laps.
Speaking of being awake, now is the time to wake up and nail this exit from the hairpin. Michael Chase following in the slipstream of Michael Folds. Pollicci down 1 spot. Michael Coates putting him under some pressure coming down this straight here. Then the downhill run into this corner. David, you're right about this one. It's perhaps the most brutal braking zone on the lap. You often struggle to slow the car down in time for this corner that's a lot more open than you think it is, and you can carry a lot of pace in these final few corners. For now, it seems that Folds and Chase are in a world of their own.
Yep, first lap completed at significantly more pace than behind the safety car. Michael Coates is looking for a top 3 here as he's alongside Eugenio Pollicci into turns 1 and 2, and looks like he gets ahead. You can see that leading duo just up the road. Pollicci still seems to get a good exit out of turn 2 though from the long run around.
Yeah, tries to maintain the inside, and it looks like he's going to succeed. Michael Coates has to yield through the second of the left-handers there. And it looks to me like they'll sort themselves out there. Michael Coates has no opportunity to fight back into the hairpin, and now he'll be in a sandwich of the teammates. Donnie Moffat right behind him.
Yeah, absolutely, he will be. Jason Stalker has passed Mike Oswald into 8th, so that could be a big points haul and create a change in the open class. This is the S's big change of direction there, and you still see how close Oswald and Kirill Bonda and even Lee Martin remains, just 2 spots back, apparently focusing on getting that open class win ahead of being pristine and spotless.
How long will that remain, though? Because it looks like Mike Oswald is really piling the pressure on Stalker at the moment. And Bonda, I think, is giving him a bit of a hurry up as well. They're all picking up a little bit of grass there on the exit of the hairpin, but the curbs are notoriously thin here at Motegi. You can't put your whole car across any curb here without catching some grass. Big slide for Mike Oswald. He left a couple of tyre tracks there, and that may very well be the chance Kirill Bonda needs. He is very deep into the final chicane, but there's not much opportunity to pass into there. You more got to focus on the exit onto the start-finish straight, and that is where Oswald gets the advantage back.
See the banking in the background, but there's not much of it on this road course that starts inside of the speedway, but then has about half of it out and underneath in the open expanses. So you've got your top 2, then you've got your next 5, then you've got absolutely everybody else. Black flag for Sean Hayes. I think he did pull out of his line on that race start too early, and he's been pinged for that.
Yeah, so Sean Hayes will get a drive-through for that. And that's going to make things even worse for him down there in 13th place. That's Rui Coimbra up the inside of Gareth Brocklesby. Open class championship leader Jerry DiPiero not having the night that he needs at the moment. He struggled to get on the pace with the other top open class drivers for this particular round. Coimbra going to nab him around the outside and almost gets hit up the rear by Brocklesby.
Lee Martin lost a spot. He's now to 3rd in open class. Paul Murgatroyd's gone past him. Yeah, so in the middle of this pack, a couple of positions swap. Mike Oswald gets right to Jason Stalker's bumper and almost looked like he was going to maybe try to push him along. Like they can see that a top 5, top 7 breakaway is happening. But no, now Oswald's looking down the inside.
Okay, so this move is probably going to be textbook here. Stalker lifting off early and allowing Oswald through. Looks like the relative pace of those cars, it's a more efficient way of going about it to just let him go and maybe try and stick in a slipstream. To the pit lane goes Sean Hayes to get his penalty out of the way. And looks like he was able to get into pit lane reasonably well. He's joined in the pits by Jared Culnins, which is a very interesting proposition here. Only a couple of laps into the race. I gotta wonder, is he going to be able to make it to the end on fuel?
Did he have more damage than we thought? What's necessitated this from Collins?
Yeah. Very interesting. I don't think I'm not seeing anything that betrays a problem for Collins there. He's back out of the pit lane, and 12.5 seconds stop. That's enough for a dash of fuel.
I don't think it's in totality quite enough. He does a lot of iRacing with his dad, Kevin. Jared flies the American flag. And I'm going to be incredibly embarrassed if I get this wrong. I'm pretty sure Kevin flies the flag of Lithuania. Or one of the Baltics. If I'm wrong, it's one of the other Baltics. But I'm pretty sure it's Lithuania.
Yes. So, looks like another incident's been reviewed. The 720 machine of Donnie Moffat has been given a drive-through. That was for the contact with Jared on lap 1. That little bit of front to rear into turn 3, and so looks like Donnie Moffat's going to be none too happy to find that out. He's going to instantly go for pit lane and get that penalty out of the way.
He got that pit entry good, though, fortunately. In the case of Sean Hayes, when he served his drive-through, it was 19.5 seconds. So that's kind of your delta. This is up with the race leaders. Michael Chase still sitting, and that's just 3/10 behind Michael Folds, where he's been almost the entirety of this race since passing Eugenio Pellicci. But Pellicci is in third, with Michael Coates just behind him. A gap, of course, appears in fifth, where previously you would have found Donnie Moffat. Instead, it's now Odyssey Adams here with Logan Fry just behind him. Mike Oswalt, we saw, make the move into seventh, and Jason Stalker has stayed in eighth after that, leading open class from his teammate Paul Murgatroyd and then Lee Martin. And again, it's been the story of every race so far that Jerry Zipiero just slowly makes his way up the field, had some pretty good pit stops while some others didn't. And we'll see where he ends up, as I think he's just past Brocklesby.
Yes, looks like Brocklesby tried to fight him into the hairpin and ultimately had to give that position up. So now DiPiero has Rui Coimbra just up ahead of him. See if Jerry will be able to pick up any slipstream at all, which is incredibly important around this circuit. Plenty of long straights around Motegi. The fight for the overall lead is tightening up as well. It looks like Michael Chase has been taking fractions of a second out of Michael Folds over the last couple of laps. And I'm wondering if there's any chance he's going to go for a move before pit stop time, or other side of the coin. Would he be able to save some fuel, maybe play around with when he can come into the pits more, because they clearly are able to stay ahead of Pellicci and Coates at this pace.
Yeah, just about that magic 1 second between Chase and Pellicci. Pellicci is going to try to hunt them if he can.
That's a personal best for Michael Coates behind, meanwhile. 2:11.8. Jared Collins with the overall fastest lap of the race so far on a 2:11.829. Unfortunately, he won't be able to take advantage of that pace with his unfortunate trip through pit lane and the issues that he is still suffering at the moment out there all alone on track, likely having to come back into the pits again. Meanwhile, Logan Fry up into the top 5. He's made his way past Adams, but I think they're a bit too far behind that top 4 pack to really make an impression in these early stages.
It's a tiny bit of a no man's land, isn't it? Top 4 and then 3 or 4 seconds, then these guys, and then 3 or 4 seconds, and then Mike Oswalt and Jason Stalker and that three-way fight for the open class back there. I reckon you'd save a bit of time if your drive-through was of this pit lane, because you get to cut the inside of the hairpin.
Well, that's a bit wide on the exit from Mike Oswalt. Stalker taking advantage, and we'll have some overlap into turn one, but not quite enough, it seems. He's not going to go for the move this time. That does bring Kirill Bonda a bit closer into the fight. Oswald a bit wide to turn one again. Very interesting to see. Not turn one. The end of the lap here. Looks like this is turning into quite the fight. Paul Murgatroyd now joining the battle. All of them slowing each other up. Looks like Lee Martin and Geordie Fike will make it a train of 6.
Jerry DiPiero leads that next group, where I think Gareth Brocklesby's breathing down his neck again. Adams ahead of Fry. And this has happened because in turn one, Fry has just outbraked himself there. Ended up in all of the marbles and might have been looking in his mirror rather than looking forwards.
Easy to do at this track. It's
Brocklesby and DiPiero side by side briefly. Brocklesby was ahead, drops behind. This is that battle right there with your open class leader. And Donnie Moffat in this after his drive-through as well.
This is turning into quite the fight. DiPiero just clearing Brocklesby there, and Gareth then has some trouble getting out of the hairpin. And that will give the advantage to Donnie Moffat. How hard is Brocklesby going to fight this one? Gets on the brakes, and Moffat carries a bit more momentum into the corner, completes the move around the outside into the left-hander. And it looks to me like this is going to be a tough one for Moffat. I don't see him finishing any higher than 10th, taking that drive-through into account and the fact that he'll still have to make a pit stop, as will just about everybody in this field.
I think he could still get to 7th. Right now he's only 8 seconds behind 7th, and he's back on the same strategy as all of them, and there's still 30 minutes to go, so...
That's a possibility.
Yeah, I think it is a possibility, particularly if this train gets a little spicier again. We saw Oswalt and Stalker very politely trade that lead once, but then Oswalt make a little mistake, and Stalker was perhaps less polite. Everyone's going to run right out of the final corner. Follow the leader. Paul Murgatroyd extracts a very odd noise from Reese Gardner.
Yeah, that's not ideal from Paul Murgatroyd. He does gather it up, though, and into turn one, he'll protect from Lee Martin. We have another car in pit lane, meanwhile. It's Brian Jabelski. And this is more in the window for when we'd expect drivers to come into the pits. So Jabelski will definitely be good to the end of the race from here. But we move our way further up to the lead once more. Michael Chase still keeping the pressure on Folds, but Polici and Coates are now officially a part of this battle. And thinking about pit strategy, I mean, it's a big question when you come into the pits in a race like this, because a track like Motegi is so dependent on slipstream for quick lap times. If you don't have someone to draft with on your way out of the pits, you're going to have a bad time. But I wonder if anyone's going to try and pull something by pitting a bit earlier or later than everyone else. How much is having a slightly lighter car and warmed up tyres worth pitting late versus coming into the pits early and potentially risking traffic?
double-edged sword pitting with someone, because the pit entry could be a real liability if you're blindsided or goaded into making a mistake, following someone else in too hot and following their mistake, like how Michael Coates kind of follows the rest of the pack in running wide. But then similarly, you know, if you pit separate to these other drivers and you end up in traffic and they continue to slipstream off each other, it could be detrimental to your race.
27 minutes remain, and I think we're starting to see a potential move be set up by Pollici. Oh, he was half thinking about it, wasn't he? But ends up getting back in the line. Maybe part of that was a defense from Michael Coates. Folds has gotten away to a bit more of a lead now. I think Chase is going to have to pile on a bit more pressure, maybe put some distance between himself and Pollici, because if you're battling with someone for the lead of a race, the last thing you want is another couple of cars involved, and that's exactly what Chase is dealing with right now.
Crazily, Jared Collins, 44 seconds behind these guys and second last car running, is doing just about the same pace, only 1/10 off what Folds did, quicker than Chase, and still has the fastest lap of the race. So what could have been? What if?
Yeah, that's far from ideal for car 27. Hopefully he'll be able to consolidate that pace for future rounds and get some better results. But now Folds and Chase find a bit more of a gap to Pollici, and Michael Coates has fallen off the back of this pack ever so slightly. Any callers to pit lane from our front four? Not for the moment, but I would think that there's more than a few drivers thinking about coming into the pits in the next couple of laps here.
Typically, it's the middle 15 minutes of the race that is that pit window. So yeah, we're in it, but it still extends another good handful of laps. Jerry DiPiero and Gareth Brocklesby are in together. No black flags, so I think they've navigated pit entry tidily.
Who wins the battle of the pit crews here?
Oh, not Brocklesby. He's overshot. So his crew are going to be 3 to 4 seconds delayed to getting to work.
That's a shame for Brocklesby, but it'll give a position to Jerry DiPiero, depending on if his pit stop goes to plan. And it does. And he's already away. So looks like that's going to give Jerry DiPiero a little bit more breathing room. 22 seconds stop there for DiPiero. Brocklesby. Yes, he did look.
Let's say it together. Black flag.
Black flag. Oh, dear. Looks like that might have been speeding in the pit lane there. Pit limiter, unfortunately, not engaged properly, I would presume. Meanwhile, Paul Murgatroyd's having a lot of fun, throwing his car between these corners as he's under pressure from Geordie Fike and Lee Martin. This is the battle for open class second place as it stands at the moment. And there's yet more fighting going on up ahead there. Oswald, Stalker and Bonda have been going at it for a long time as Fike makes the move on Murgatroyd in the hairpin behind, and he's through very nicely.
Now looks to try to break some of the slipstream. Now we've got a battle on for open class. Heading down here. And down indeed it is. Lee Martin gets his nose in front. Has to be so careful.
Oh, no.
In trying not to hit Geordie Fike, he's then also had to try to not hit Paul Murgatroyd. I think he's just pulled that off and then heads for pit lane immediately.
Indeed. It does look like it might have just been a 0x at the most for Lee Martin, so I think he'll maintain his Mr. Clean lead for now. Has to get 4 incidents to draw level.
He overshot his pit box.
Oh, no. Well, Mr. Clean, unfortunately, does not reward you for aggression in the pit lane. So he's going to fall behind now. Tom Athon, the other driver in the lane at the moment. That's a very short stop from Geordie Fike. Remember, DePiero and Brocklesby, their pit stops were over 20 seconds in length. Geordie Fike taking about 4 seconds out of that on that stop, and he's got an amazing advantage over Martin and Athon there, who are going to exit the pits together right in time for Brian Jabelski and Jerry DePiero to come up on them there. 85 is Jabelski with momentum at turn 1. Will get it done around the outside, and DePiero finds himself in 19th for the moment. Don't forget, we're still waiting on the majority of our field to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, there's 2 cars we have seen in pit lane, but that haven't made their stop yet. It's Donnie Moffat and Sean Hayes that have both served drive-through penalties. This is our leading 4. Michael Coates with just a tiny hint of damage on his car in 4th place. Everyone else looking pretty well put together. I think Foltz tried to fake them.
Oh.
Pellicci's bought as he navigates the pit entry. He's had to really woe it down below 60 k's an hour just to make the chicane, and then engage the limiter, accelerate back up to 60. So Pellicci's in. Jason Stalker in from the lead of open class. A whole bunch of drivers going for it.
As joined by Kirill Bonda, Odyssey Adams, Moffat and Murgatroyd, all finding their way in. That's actually no, Bonda is continuing on out of that one. So 5 cars in the pits at the moment. First to make his way out is Donnie Moffat. And looks like Pellicci will get out just ahead of Adams and Moffat as a result.
I think Moffat overshot his pit box as well. Perhaps it might have been Jason Stalker, but I feel like it was Donnie Moffat. I gotta find some kind of... Yeah, he must have, because his stop was shorter than Geordie Fike, but his lane time was longer. So I think that's cost him about a second or a second and a half.
Yeah, it's a very...
This is with our top 8 that haven't stopped. Highest running car that has made a pit stop is Virginia Pellicci in 9th.
Indeed, Sean Hayes has also visited the pit lane in 8th place, but for a penalty. So he'll have to come back in at some point, get his requisite fuel, maybe some tyres to get to the end.
I think he's expecting us to comment on this. He has changed his iRacing flag to the flag of Australia.
Yes, I did notice that.
Maybe he's thinking people might confuse me and him.
Potentially. Haynes. I mean, there's practically no difference, is there?
If you told me the names were somehow somewhat related, I suspect I'd have to believe you. Smuggle Fold's trying to... No, this is Sean Hayes trying to get out of the way of Eugenio Pellicci, who he'll know has made his stop. Hayes is like, this is a quick guy. Let's see if I can get in behind him for a second. Logan Fry and Kirill Bonda are in, but that top 3 stay out. Does everyone here manage to stop in time for their pit stall?
We shall find out. Rui Coimbra joining Bonda and Fry in the pits, and that is going to be left side tyres for Logan Fry. Hayes comes in for his service, and he will drop down the order. Something chronic. Fry the first out of pit lane. with a 19.5 second stop. That's not bad. Comes out some way behind Polici and Adams. Looks like about 12 seconds back from Polici, 2 seconds back from Adams. And they all get up to speed nicely. Sean Hayes completing his stop and coming out 19th and last of the cars running. Gareth Brocklesby has had some kind of problem. He seemed to have re-entered the pits a couple of minutes ago and has not come out.
Maybe he got another black flag, so he might have been done after that, or he had a problem on cold tyres. But he may be done. There's a leading trio that haven't stopped. They are Time Attack battling Eugenio Polici, who stopped 2 laps ago. He may be attempting to put an undercut on them if possible.
See if that works out for Polici, as all 3 of our top 3 make their way into the pits and all nail the chicane on the way in. Any black flags to anyone's name there? No, they've all gotten it right, but overshooting pit boxes seems to be a bit of a pattern forming for this round, David. I wonder if any of these guys are going to do that. It would appear not.
Coates gets a new front bumper and new left side tyres for Folds and Coates, but not for Chase. Mike Oswald also comes into the lane just back there.
Just popping into frame. And away we go again. Michael Folds maintaining the lead here with a 16.7 second stop, 15.6 for Chase, 17.4 for Coates, and that's going to allow Polici back by into third. So I would say that the undercut didn't really work for Polici there, but he will still maintain a podium position for now, and he had great momentum over Coates coming into the lane. Don't forget as well that Coates put those left side tyres on his car, so he's going to spend some time getting them up to temperature. He'll be slow for a little bit. This is a good chance for Polici.
Yes, I think so. We'll see if Chase can hold on. 15 laps to go and add a little bit of a tyre deficit compared to everyone else around, but what it did give him was a very quick stop. I think the amount of fuel he'd saved, he thought, well, covered by the fuel, I don't think I actually have time to take left side tyres. And so he has himself a very rapid pit stop. But maybe it would have been worth an extra second to take those tyres. You're going to see the comparison of him versus Polici, I think, as the ultimate sort of expression of Polici's brought those tyres in and should be really flying along. Well, Chase hasn't had quite such an advantage.
So now it's a sprint to the end, unless there is a safety car intervention for some reason. But as you mentioned at the top of the race, we have yet to actually see that manual safety car make an appearance in this new season of Spec-5 World Tour. The racing, for the most part, has been clean and respectful, as this series has built its reputation on. But it's going to be a tight battle between this top 3 for the next 14 minutes, or round about 6 laps of Mobility Resort Motegi. Who gets the best exit out of the final chicane here? It seems like they're all pretty even. The first real lap times for these guys will come to the fore here. Eugenio Polici sets the new fastest lap of the race, a 2:11.658. He is on a charge at the moment and catching up to Michael Chase as well.
This camera shot, you can see the banner for Kochira Racing. Now, I've told you multiple times who Kochira is.
Have you?
I have. It's Suzuka Circuit's mascot.
Yes.
The motorcycle riding dinosaur from space.
Of course.
Honda cross promotion here between Suzuka and Motegi.
Yes, of course. Honda owns both circuits. So So, interesting little tidbit there. But we do have Mazdas racing around here at the moment, making the jump from Hiroshima to Motegi. Michael Coates, having come through the pits at the same time as Folds and Chase, does not seem to have been able to keep up with the top three for the moment. He trails them by 2 seconds and change. So this will be difficult for Coates here. He'll have to rely on the top three pulling out all the stops and having their own battle if he wants to catch back up here. It looks like there might be shades of that happening. Pollicci still putting the pressure on Michael Chase, which is half allowing Michael Folds to skip away here, breaking the draft instantly coming out of the hairpin. Pollicci doesn't want to play those games. He knows that that's going to cost you a little bit of momentum. You're literally covering more distance down the straight by doing the weave, and he'll stick it up the inside at the end of the straight, and Michael Chase will yield at the exit of the corner. Remember, Chase didn't take left side tyres, so those tyres will be a little bit more worn. Pollicci, meanwhile, has them replaced and up to temperature. Can he catch Michael Folds?
That's his game. Everyone has made their pit stops. Jared Collins has had to make a second one. His first stop was too early to make it to the end. So he's back in that 19th at the moment. There goes our top four. And Jason Stalker still leads the open class from Paul Murgatroyd and Lee Martin. Sherry DiPiero fourth in that class at the minute.
Yeah, DiPiero's struggled to find his way very far past P17 at the moment, so this is going to be a great opportunity for Stalker, Murgatroyd and Martin. And all of those names down, those are the only open class drivers here at this race, apart from Brocklesby, who is now retired almost 10 minutes ago. Particularly for Stalker, it's going to be a big points advantage. He's got 3 pro class cars in between himself and Murgatroyd, so a big points difference, and should be a good haul for Stalker if he can hold this off.
Yep, these are some of the midfield gaps. Often in the Spec-5 World Tour races, it's pretty tight at the start. We have the pit stop, things spread out just a little bit, and then starts to come back together. It's Michael Chase versus Michael Coates. It's a rap battle as the two MCs go against each other.
Indeed they do. Pollicci has skipped away from this battle now, and he'll be giving chase.
Big slide from Coates.
Yeah, that is a very big slide indeed, and it looks like that's going to allow Michael Chase a little bit of breathing room in the short term. But remember, Coates is going to have the advantage of fresher tyres on the left side of his car, so a lot of potential there. He does go very wide in turn 3 though, caught the grass and couldn't quite get the front end to stick for turn 4.
And at the Bridgestone Bridge, which doesn't appear to be made out of stones, but instead concrete. Thanks to the S's, Michael Folds, 1.8 seconds. I think his tyres are just starting to come into that sweet spot as Eugenio Polici's go past them. Polici really needed to be within that 1 second in the slipstream. It's not quite happening to stand on the podium. Michael Chase remains ahead of Coates at the moment. Logan Fry's been taking some time out of Odyssey. Adams has been all by himself, had quite a quick pit stop. I wonder if this 22 red car might be perhaps just running a little light on fuel. Is he coasting into some of these corners? Has that allowed Fry to catch, or has there been some other mistake that put Adams back into the 213s?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure at the moment. I'm not really seeing, but we will find out here. Let's listen in and see if Adams is fuel saving. It doesn't seem that he's doing it into turns 1 and 2. I did notice on the previous lap that Logan Fry caught up quite a bit into turn 3 here, so maybe that's where Adams is doing the fuel save. I think that, yeah, he's not fuel saving. He's just a little bit more ginger on the brakes than Fry is. Adams' stop was 16.5 seconds, which is pretty quick, but you got to remember, Michael Fold's pit stop, Eugenio Polici, they were both 16 seconds. Michael Chase's pit stop was under 16 seconds. So I think you are able to get to the end on a pit stop like that. I think Adams might just be struggling a little bit with the way the tyres are evolving, the way the track is evolving.
Well, you look at his 2 consecutive laps in the 2-minute 13s and you go, Fry behind him's in the 12s, Oswald's in the 12s, Open Class leader Jason Stalker is in the 12s, Donnie Moffat coming back from that drive-through penalty is back into the top 10, where Reece Gardner thought he might be able to get. He's only 5 seconds away from 7th place, where David Haynes thought he might be able to get.
Yeah, so the bet is still on. It will take Miracle, Bonder and Stalker coming together for Donnie Moffat to advance any further. Looks like things are starting to get a bit leery between Adams and Fry. Logan is taking a very alternate line in the final chicane, and Adams has pushed a bit too deep, so that's going to be move on, and Logan Fry gets into the top 5.
Feels like he needs to do a bit of work to defend it. A similar thing's happening in the back of shot, as I think Bondar runs off the road. Jason Stalker goes into 8th place as the Open Class leader. Might have even seen Geordie Fike run through the grass back there as well. An easy mistake commonly made, and there's not much or anything of paved runoff out of that final corner. It's racetrack, half a car width of blue and white curb, grass.
Just took a look at the end of the lap there for Geordie Fike. It doesn't look like he ran off, but potentially got himself a little compromised. Regardless, he's still within slipstream range of Donnie Moffat and could be looking at a potential 9th or 8th place if things fall his way. Not much time for that to be sorted out, though. We're under 3.5 minutes to go, and my timing is telling me for the leaders it's 2.5 laps remaining on the ticker. So now is their opportunity to dial up the aggression a little bit. Michael Chase, having lost touch with Eugenio Polici some time ago, is now under pressure from Michael Coates. And I'm wondering if Chase is ruining his decision to go for no tyres at the stop. Seems that Coates isn't in any hurry to pass him, though.
Yeah, it was a bump there. Like, they think that they can together get Polici. I think together they can get to Polici and then get Polici to Folds, but I think they can get to Polici. Donny Moffat is alongside Kirill Bondar and past him to 9th. So just a little wide at 1, but again, the way that the turns connect to each other, Michael Chase seems like he actually was very well placed for turn 2, despite looking like he'd made a tiny bit of a meal of 1.
Yeah, multiple lines possible through those first couple of corners. It's very wide through that section. And so you can place your car pretty much anywhere and get an exit that you'd be happy with. You can stick to the inside the whole way through. You can make a sort of V shape of the complex, or you can run wide into turn 1 to late apex and straight line turn 2. All approaches work depending on the circumstances. So which are they going to employ on the last lap, which should be coming up when they cross the line next? Less than 1 minute and 30 on the clock, and now the pressure is on.
This is on board with 4th place. Different lines into this left-hander. Very late apex for Coates. Chase turning in just a little bit earlier. Both of them catching Polici now. Exit of this hairpin was a weakness for Michael Chase a lap ago, but it seems like he's a little bit better placed now. See Michael Folds, that you see 2.7 seconds. And then you see Polici, Chase, and Coates, and they have another 15 seconds, which is a lot of time in a race like this, to get back to Logan Fry versus Odyssey Adams 5th and 6th. So this top 4 have been pretty dominant. This is the cut back to 5th and 6th. Mike Oswalt trying to break the toe. Oh, Adams, if he needed to save, he wants the position now.
And he carries the momentum through on the exit. And is through into P5. Nice move. And Fry wasn't quite able to respond to that. Final lap has begun for Michael Folds. All he has to do is keep it clean and he'll be able to run away with this one. The 3 cars behind him all battling for those last 2 positions on the podium. It looks like Polici will stay ahead of Michael Chase for the moment, but how long is he going to be able to hold on to that? How hard do you push to try and keep this position? You can really throw these MX-5s around, but they have a limit like any other car.
This looks like Michael Chase trying to get in Eugenio Polici's head. That's not an especially common passing move there at turn 5. Can happen. But I've seen many a battle through the final 3 or 4 corners on a final lap here. So you're trying to set yourself up well through the S's, through the hairpin at the east paddock, and thereafter on the final lap, trying to make some of your moves. 0.3 of a second for 3 race cars. Now Chase has a look down the inside and isn't close enough. Has he given away too much too early? Because he could have been a little closer on the exit if he hadn't made that fake dive to the inside. Michael Folds goes into that hairpin. Then Chase just holds back, looks for this late apex. But with no fresh left side tyres, is he at a grip disadvantage? Eugenio Polici doesn't think so, as he goes all the way to the other side of the racetrack to try to break the slipstream. Chase isn't close enough in the last big braking zone of the lap. Don't tell him that. He'll still think about it and have a go underneath the banking, back into the final sequence of corners. Now Michael Coates isn't going to play nice with Michael Chase anymore. And out of the final corner, Michael Folds is going to make it 3 Michaels from 4 as he takes the win, but Polici's gone wide.
He's out of fuel.
Dirt.
He's choking. Polici ran out of fuel out of the final corner.
left here, and I think he got in a bit hot to the final corner as well, and that didn't help him that he ran wide. He still came across the line in fourth. Adams ahead of Fry. Jason Stalker was in quite a battle. Donnie Moffat's broken free of this to get to 8th. Stalker, Fike, Bondar over the line. Rui Coimbra from Paul Murgatroyd, Lee Martin, and Brian Jabelski, Tom Athon, Sean Hayes, Jerry DiPiero, Jared Collins. Hayes can't outdrag Athon, and Collins will just run out of time to pass Jerry DiPiero. Dramatic in our final 4, and it gives us an all-Michael lockout podium.
That is frankly incredible. First time I've seen that. Folds, Chase, and Coates are your podium, and Pulici, man, he'll be ruining not taking that extra liter of fuel at the pit stop, because if he hadn't, then he'd definitely have gotten second from that one. Adams will round out your top 5. Then it's Logan Fry in 6th, with Oswald and Moffat rounding out your top 8. Jason Stalker takes the open class victory there, and Geordie Fike will round out your top 10, with Kirill Bonda and Rui Coimbra separating Stalker from second place in open. Paul Murgatroyd, Lee Martin rounding out that open podium, and should maintain Mr. Clean. I didn't see any big incidents for him. Jabelski, Athan, Hayes, Piero, and Collins will round out your finishers. Unfortunately, Gareth Brocklesby, the one retirement from this race. Rick Wishon and Charles Vaccaro did not take to the start today.
Well, that certainly exploded in some fireworks right at the end. And not the way Eugenio Pulici may have liked, but certainly to the tastes of Michael Chase and Michael Coates.
Indeed, and it looks to me like we already have our second place finisher, Michael Chase, in the interview booth waiting for a chat.
And he joins us now. Historic all-Michael podium in Spec-5 World Tour.
Is that
How
a
do you
first?
feel about that?
I'm happy to be a part of it. I would be really, really disappointed if it was an all-Michael podium. Michael. And I wasn't there. So very nice to be here.
It's the first time I've ever seen a top 3 lockout by any of the same name. So,
well, in the business, we call this a
Spec-5
Michael
first.
check.
Sure do.
How
How did you find the race then? You're one of the few drivers that didn't go for left side tires.
I don't know. I just thought this track was too slippery to handle. I figured I would lose more pace than I gained, and so I just tried to take care of them and sort of a boring race, I guess. But seriously, I had to just keep the tow rope hooked up to Michael. I mean, I didn't have pace to make anything work on him. Just try to keep up and not get into any trouble. And I thought tires would just make it worse. So easy decision on that. And I honestly felt just fine at the end of the race.
How'd you go getting the heart rate going and waking up again after the formation laps?
Yeah, no kidding. Sort of forgot what we were doing for a while there.
And favorite Japanese food?
I like a good teriyaki beef, maybe some rice. I might do that tonight, actually.
Fantastic. Great to chat. Congrats on that result, and good little bit of teamwork between yourself and Coates, really putting that pressure on Eugenio Pulici that in the end, at the very final opportunity, worked out.
Yeah, it looked like he sputtered towards the end. Is that what happened? He must have run out of fuel.
We think so.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. It was great racing with the rest of the group, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Reese, I reckon you can go to the open class winner then.
Yes, I certainly can. Jason Stalker with us now. And, well, congratulations on that win there, Jason. Certainly seemed like you were involved in the thick of things. Oof.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. First couple laps were very tight, and then there was just an opportunity to kind of break away a little bit and follow Mike Oswalt, and just kind of stay with the draft for a bit. So it's good.
This is going to be a good points day for you with 3 pro class cars in between yourself and the next open class driver, and also open championship leader Jerry DiPiero not quite getting the result he would have wanted today. So a good opportunity for you to gain some momentum there.
Yeah, I think so. Tonight was a pretty kind of smaller turnout, so it's kind of a good opportunity to pick up some points, and to have Paul, part of the Loud Cup team there, finishing second was pretty fun as well. So here you go, David. Thank you for showing me that. That's awesome.
Well, a good result for you at Motegi. We go to a track that is the polar opposite of Motegi in many ways. VIR playing host to the next round of the championship next week. Do you have any thoughts going into that one? It's going to be an even tougher one than this. It's much less of a technical circuit and more of a gauntlet.
Yes, I agree. It is a fun track to drive on. We've raced on it plenty of times, but it's a kind of a more narrow tracks, and there's a number of bottlenecks on that track as well. So, but it does kind of make for a lot of fun racing. So it's always a good one.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Well, congratulations on the result, mate. Appreciate you coming in for a chat, and hopefully the results continue as we enter the, where we approach the end of the first half of this season.
Already, yeah. Good luck, guys. Thank you very much.
Jason Stalker there in the 219, winning the open class today. And it looks like that's all we're going to have time for, David. It's time to close things out here and look forward to next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Once it got underway, great race. Michael Folds taking that win, Jason Stalker taking the open class win, and we roll in next week at VIR. He came to Motegi as Michael Folds, but as a winner in Japan, he leaves as Michael Origami. David Haynes with Reese Gardner, Michael Derby bringing you HJBC live coverage of Spec-5 World Tour for all 10 rounds this season. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at VIR in a week.
you.